Half Dome is Yosemite's most iconic feature. There's a trail that goes around to the other side, and then you can hang on to cables to climb to the top. The entire trip would cover 14.2 miles or 22.7 kilometers and gain 4,800 feet above the valley or 1,600 meters. It's quite steep. So our Half Dome adventure started at the east end of Yosemite Valley in the Happy Isles area. We crossed a bridge, followed the trail here, the start of the John Muir Trail, around this ridge which has Sierra Point at the end. We reached a bridge that crossed the Merced River, and up ahead, upstream there was Vernal Falls. We had a choice of switchbacking our way up the John Muir Trail or a shortcut up the Mist Trail where we were guaranteed to get wet, and we went that way. Past Vernal Falls, and above the falls there's another bridge that crosses the Merced River, and then you work your way up to Nevada Fall, climb up past that and Liberty Cap, and then you're in the Little Yosemite Valley, and there is a small campground right in this area, and that's where we spent the night. The next morning we took this trail, switched back our way up until we reached this ridge line and the Half Dome Trail, and it curls around and heads southwesterly. Eventually you reach the Subdome, which is also very steep and kind of scary actually because there's no railing and you're passing people in both directions a lot of times. But then you reach a notch here between Subdome and Half Dome, and that's where the cables start. So you can use the cables to hang on to as you go to the top of Half Dome. Here's a picture of Bob with our Half Dome permits. Now here's a more detailed view on the map. We went up past Vernal Falls using the Mist Trail, and from there past Liberty Cap and Nevada Falls into the John Muir Trail and the Little Yosemite Valley, where we set up camp. The 8.2 miles listed on this sign is only if you're going by way of the John Muir Trail. There's a rainbow in Vernal Falls almost every sunny afternoon. Something to look forward to. And with a pothole in the ground. And there's the brink. Since we knew we didn't have much farther to go to the Little Yosemite Valley, we went ahead and made a side trip to the bridge over the Merced River at the top of Nevada Falls. We even took a twin selfie at the top of Nevada Falls right by the railing. Then we reached Little Yosemite Valley where we spent the night. Here's a picture I took of Bob setting up camp with Half Dome in the distance. The next day we continued further along the John Muir Trail until it forked and went off to the east. We continued west on the Half Dome Trail. After switchbacking our way up the subdome, we finally reached the notch where the base of Half Dome is and where the cables start. From our campsite in Little Yosemite Valley, we could see the subdome, the notch, and Half Dome from the backside.
Subdome from the backside. See people on the cables right there. Here's Half Dome. See people going up the cables.
And here's someone already at the top.
There's Cloud's Rest.
It's actually 1,000 feet higher than Half Dome.
And Bob coming up the trail. Here's a good view of the climb up subdome. See people in amongst those trees. Then they drop down on the saddle, and on the other side is cables up to the top of Half Dome.
Here's Bob going up the subdome, and we're always loaded with camera gear.
Over here is North Dome and Basket Dome. There's North Dome. And back that way, Cloud's Rest.
After reaching the notch between subdome and Half Dome, we're ready to start up on the cables. The cables allow you to climb up about 400 feet or 120 meters with relative safety.
Base of the cables. Heading up.
Yep, you heard that right. Somebody was coming down Half Dome with a baby strapped to their stomach. Here's where the cable starts. And when the Park Service says they've taken the cables down, all they've really done is taking these posts out of the holes and laid the cables flat. The sign at the bottom warns you that if there are any thunderclouds in the sky, that you should not go to the top. These cables have been here for more than 70 years. The rock itself is fairly smooth and doesn't feel that secure, but the wooden slats connecting the posts together is where you feel the most safe. Granite erodes in a process called exfoliation, which is basically big flakes of granite that peel off from the surface. So occasionally we had to step up above a flake or down from a flake, depending on which direction we were going. As you can tell from the heavy breathing of the camera person, Bob or me, this does take a lot of work to get to the top. A lot of physical exertion. And finally, we reach the top of the cables.
Tenaya Canyon, Clouds Rest, it's Half Dome.
So we finally made it to the top, and here's what the view looks like from the visor.
Talking to somebody, tell them where the things are.
One thing that creates confusion for people is this feature called the diving board. It's actually not part of Half Dome. It's on the same ridge, but it's below Half Dome. This part that sticks out from Half Dome is called the visor. In fact, there's a famous Ansel Adams photograph of him standing at the diving board and looking up at the face of Half Dome. This image Ansel Adams called the monolith, the face of Half Dome. We hope this clears up the confusion.
Oh, the trail? Yeah. We got here at 1. Yeah, an hour and 45 minutes ahead.
There's Bob on his way back from the other side of Half Dome. It's like a saddle. And we're looking down the valley this way. It's all kind of hazy right now.
When you're looking up at Half Dome from the valley, it looks like a solid piece of granite, but when you're actually there, it looks more like an onion. So we spent some time at the top of Half Dome, then it was time to head back down to Little Yosemite Valley and the campground, where we fortunately had planned to spend another night and head out the next morning.
It's the steepest part of the Half Dome cables.
Going down requires an extra bit of caution because when you're going up, you've got rock in front of you you can kind of fall into if you slip. But when you're going down, you just have empty space in front of you. So that makes it more scary and actually more dangerous too. So you have to pay more attention when you're going down.
Near the end of the cables. Almost there. You can see a pile of gloves down there. The Park Service and people borrow gloves for the climb up.
The Park Service actually provides some gloves for people who want to go up the cables but didn't bring their own.
I'm zooming in. I still have this far to go.
After getting down from Half Dome, we still had to go down the Subdome. Then we'd reach dirt trail that would lead us back to Little Yosemite Valley. And we could spend more time on Half Dome because we knew we were spending 2 nights in Little Yosemite Valley, so that was good planning on our part. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.